Jesus Christ saves me from sin and death. So the Come Follow Me manual makes the point, one way to deepen your appreciation for Jesus Christ is to think about what would have happened to us without him. And Jacob talks about, behold, if the flesh should rise no more, our spirits must become subject to that angel who fell from before the presence of the eternal God and became the devil to rise no more. So we're talking about death. We're talking about physical death, and we're talking about spiritual death. And Jacob's teaching us, on one hand, right, these things are real. We're going to see I think on the next slide, the next verse, where he talks about death and hell, right? Physical death and spiritual death. These are things that are real. This is part of the mortal journey. This is part of what we have to face and go through and overcome. And I think about what would have happened to us without an atonement, without redemption, death. Like that's the whole purpose of life, of finding true, lasting, eternal joy. It would be for naught.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we learned a few chapters back. And when you really ponder that, it really brings a spirit of love and gratitude for the Savior, because you can really see the bridge that he built, like the gap that he overcame, that we cannot do on our own.
It's interesting thinking about this take for this podcast as opposed to the last ones. I didn't think about this before, but a lot of times in the gospel we talk about living righteously, and as we live righteously, we see these glimpses of what life can be and what celestial glory and exaltation can be. A lot of times we equate that with, our home and our family, and these moments of just pure joy and love and Christ-like attributes just filling a particular moment, and we see and we get a glimpse of what heaven is like. Well, thinking about that question that the manual poses, what would your life be like without the Savior? For some of us, and someday we'll probably put together a series on, or not a series, but just some videos about you and I, and maybe some of our personal backgrounds and the story of our life and what's gotten us to have such a love and passion for the gospel. But the flip side is some of us have had the opposite glimpses in our lives of what is life like without the Savior. What is life like when we have chosen to follow a path and live in a way where the Spirit is not there, and that we rely completely and totally upon, ourselves and the flesh, and we see where that leads us. We see that path, and we feel the presence of the adversary. We recognize, or at least now I look back and I recognize, the adversary being that constant influence in my life and that constant presence in my life. And I'm sure even then it's different than what if Christ didn't exist at all, right? There was still light and hope there, even as dark as it was. Yeah. So it's not a perfect analogy, but it's a glimpse. You start to see what is life like without the Savior. And I know that there's people within the sound of our voice that maybe are going through that, or have gone through that, and they can think back and say, yeah, I can see a glimpse of what hell is like. What is it like without the Savior and the Spirit leading and guiding us?
Thank you for watching. If you found this content spiritually enlightening, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Like the gospel, these little things make all the difference, and it helps the algorithm push out better content for everyone to enjoy on YouTube.